every single dream. I lay each one down at your feet. Every moment of my wandering never changes what you see. I've tried to win this war, I confess. My hands are weary, I need your rest. Mighty warrior, king of the fight. No matter what I face, you're by my side. When you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. When you don't part the waters, I wish I could walk through. When you don't give the answers as I cry out to you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. Truth is, you know what tomorrow brings. There's not a day ahead you have not seen. So in all things, be my life and bread. I want what you want, Lord, and nothing less. When you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. When you don't part the waters, I wish I could walk through. When you don't give the answers as I cry out to you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. I will trust in you. You are my strength and comfort. You are my steady hand. You are my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand. Your ways are always higher. Your plans are always good. There's not a place where I'll go you've not already said. When you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to.
That was my morning routine. It is meditation, or breathing, connecting with your breath, meditation. I got my prana mat out, which is an acupressure mat. So I did all of that. I did some gentle yoga stretches to start my day. And now I'm going to start my day. I'm going to go get my coffee, and we're going to sit down and have a little chit chat. How's that sound? Great. Good morning. As you just saw in the previous video, I just went through my basic morning routine that I do every day. You know, I do my meditation, I connect with my breath, I do my meditation, I will sometimes do crystals. This morning I felt called to do crystals. I did some gentle yoga stretching, and then I got my prana mat out, which is an acupressure mat, and I laid on that for a little bit to just kind of work out some kinks, and I'm having some back issues. And then I went and got my coffee. And my coffee this morning is a blend of just regular coffee, and because I'm getting a cold, I put some elderberries and some rose hips in with the coffee. I put those in first, then I put the coffee on top, and then you just brew it like you do regular coffee. But I guess today we will talk about what I am currently studying or wanting to study. I am learning to delve back into the Bible. As a Christian witch, a lot of us use the Bible as a study tool and as a grimoire and whatever. I have not, because growing up, I was very confused by the Bible. Because especially when I came to adopt witchcraft into my Christian-based study, there was all that stuff about thou shalt not suffer a witch to live and blah blah blah. And plus, for me growing up, the Bible was transposed and translated so many different ways and so many different times that I didn't know what to believe. I didn't know what was, You know, I really didn't know what was true and what was not. My parents were on the vestry, they were on the board. I grew up Episcopalian, they were on the vestry. They were very big into that. I was in the youth choir, they were in the choir, they were on the board. And when I was 11, we got a new vicar, we got a new preacher, and his name was Father Butler. And Father Butler was not a very nice man. He had a wonderful family, which I kind of felt very bad for them. He was an alcoholic, and he was a pedophile. I was never part of that, but I know somebody in my church that did get caught. He got caught with them, and you know, I don't know what happened. As soon as we got wind of it, my parents said we're done, and we walked out of the church when I was 12, and we never went back. So I did not really grow up in the church. I did, but I didn't. You know, from 12 on, I was not in the church. I was an outdoor kid. I was, you know, raised in the theater, and it was the 70s, so we were around a lot of hippies, and our neighbors were hippies, and we were always around music and art and color and light and outdoors, and you know, we had a hippie commune that we would visit, and that's kind of where, you know, I spent my time, and I learned, and I didn't realize until way many years down the road that a lot of those hippies that I hung out with were pagans and were witches, and I don't know if they practiced, but just the things, just, there it goes again, because the sun is shining. There we go. I was able to just be a kid and to explore the outdoors and to spend it, you know, and you would always find me in our hometown has a college named Allegheny College, and its campus is absolutely beautiful. Lots of rolling hills, lots of streams, lots of, you know, things to play with, and that's where I was. They have a walking bridge, and I would be under the walking bridge playing in the stream, and I would bring my cardboard boxes up and my dolls, and I would have tea parties under the bridge, and I would go to the costume shop where my grandmother worked, and for the theater, because she was the drama professor and the costume designer. So I would go up there and I would pick a costume, and then I would get to go down and play in the grass and have tea parties with my dolls. But I grew up playing outside, and I always had a love of books. I always got lost in books. I've always been a knowledge junkie. I've always been a knowledge whore. You know, give me education, give me reading, give me, you know, and you would usually find me as a teenager. I would have because music was a big part of my life being in theater, and so you would usually find me with a Walkman in my ears and a book in my hands and somewhere up a tree. We had this wonderful oak tree in our front yard when I was growing up. Pardon me, I have to sneeze. Excuse me. But that's usually where you would find me if I was not, you know, on stage or at the ice rink, because I was also a figure skater. But yeah, that's usually where you would find me. Excuse me. But there were always things about God and about my faith that I always held on to. I remember fondly the children's church and the Sunday school and learning, you know, getting ready for catechism and learning the Lord's Prayer. And I had this little thing that I would learn it had these little circles. I was this ribbon. It had all these little, and each week we would learn a new part of the Lord's Prayer. And then when you had to, at catechism, when you were, when you became a member of the church, you had to recite the Lord's Prayer. And I remember that with great love, and I still use the Lord's Prayer quite often today. You know, I use it to cleanse my space when I'm cleansing my space, and but I didn't hold. I was just very confused by the Bible and the stories in the Bible. There's stories in the Bible that I remember that I liked, but I looked at the Bible as just another book. Just, oh, it's a storybook. And I was never corrected. I was never taught to use the Bible as a tool. And I'm learning now. I'm learning through, and I'm learning, 35 years into my craft, I'm learning to use the Bible as a tool, and to use it as, more than just a storybook. And, as I said, right now we were learning, last week we covered the last book of James, and I loved how James kind of was teaching about treat others how you want to be treated. You reap what you sow, which is what Mabon was about. You're reaping what you're sowing. You're reaping your harvest, and you sow your seeds and you reap the harvest. And so that kind of, I really liked that. And right now I'm learning it because my son is learning it. My son got his first Bible from his Sunday school teacher, and so I am kind of learning side by side with him. And he was so excited because he came to me and he said, Mommy, I learned the first 5 books of the Bible. And he sat there and recited them to me, and I was really impressed. I was like, okay, this is really cool. And just to see his excitement about, learning and what they all mean, and, which is kind of fun. So kind of, I'm learning through my son's eyes. I'm learning with him, but I'm learning through him at the same time. But right now, also, some things that I'm learning are, sorry, my nose is running. I'm reading a book again, and this is a book that is not just a once and you're done. This is a reference book. This is a book that if you read it, you will come back to time and time and time and time again. And it is Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. And I'm kind of learning right now where I fit in the realm of the world, where I fit, what dimension I fit in, and there are other dimensions, and and it's kind of interesting to learn, and how these simple, and I remember taking these tests as a teenager in therapy, and the Myers-Briggs test, and how that affects because it's a personality test, and where and I didn't think of it, as a kid as any big deal. But now I'm learning, and I'm like, wow, okay, this is me, and it's one of those, I'm a campaigner in the Myers-Briggs thing. I am an ENFP personality type, which means I'm a free spirit, I'm charming, I'm independent, I'm energetic, I'm compassionate. My mind is 70% extroverted. I'm 60% intuitive in my energy. I feel 90% feeling in my nature. In my tactics, I'm 51% prospecting. In my identity, I am 67% turbulent. Don't know really what all that means, but I know my personality. I know, and I'm kind of researching that right now. And I am also, I took another test, and it means that I'm a manifesting generator. Again, I'm not really sure what that means. I'm still learning. But it's funny how being a manifesting generator and being a campaigner really go with, like, my astrological sign, which is a Libra. And a Libra is a harmonizer of personal and collective truth. I am a creator of non-hierarchy collaborations and conscious of equal partnerships. you know, because I crave that balance. But again, it's all gibberish. To me, I can kind of understand it, but yet I can't. But I'm still trying to figure out where I can put this into my practice, and what does it mean for my practice, and what does it mean for, you know, does it mean that I can go deeper in my meditations? Does it mean that I can go deeper into my studies? Does it mean, you know, but it's just one of those fun little, you know, as I said earlier, I'm a knowledge junkie. Give me books, give me knowledge, you know, I will suck it up like a sponge. Part of my daily routine that I do is that, you know, as you know, I'm a housewife, so, or a house witch as I like to call myself. I do spend a lot of time in this room, in my lovely witchy room, and I spend a lot of time coloring because it is calming, it is grounding to me. I use those color pages in my Book of Wicked Rainbows. Oh my God, I know. Because I can't draw. I can't draw for shit. And I don't want to, you know, run off. I don't want to make carbon copies of things and not put my person, because it is my Book of Shadows or my Book of Wicked Rainbows, so I want to put my spin on it. I want to use what brings me joy and what brings, and to me, my color pages add more power to my book, because the markers and the books that I use, the markers that I use, the crayons that I use, the mediums that I use have been blessed. They are just for my Book of Shadows. This window right here that you can't see in my witchy room, when it's a full moon, it literally shines down on in my entire witchy room becomes, so it's like I don't have to haul everything outside, and you know, I literally can just put it out on my desk, which it already is. It hits my herbs, so my herbs are blessed, you know, so, but everything in this room has been soaked up by the moon's energy. I make my moon water and I will put it right here on my table. But yeah, everything in here has been touched by the moon, but that's why I say that my color pages are more, they add a certain power to my book, because they have been, the mediums that I use, the paints, the markers, the stuff that I use has been blessed by the moon. When I use my paints, they have crystals in them, and they are loosened up with moon water. So again, they're imbued with my power, and they're imbued with the power of the moon. And but that to me that's just something that I do. I'm not saying that everybody has to do it, but it's just something that I do, because it brings me joy. And in your practice, no matter what you practice, if it does not bring you some sense of peace, of joy, of delight, then something's off, something's wrong, something's, you know, it's at least for me, that's how I feel. If it doesn't bring me joy in my everyday, then something's wrong. And as being a housewife, same shit, different day, you know? I mean, you have to clean the house, have to get dinner done, you have to do your laundry, but again, for me, there is no mundane there, because I use my magic in everything that I do. I will make magical herbal floor washes and house cleansings and to clean my house with. There are herbs in my vacuum cleaner right now. I use Florida water in my laundry. you cook with herbs, and I will cook with these herbs. And granted, we have these same herbs out in the kitchen, but these are mine, and these are blessed, and these are magical, and these have a little bit more oomph to them, or I would like to think they do, than the ones out in the kitchen. I don't know. But I will, I don't use my, I don't know if you can see it, this is my rainbow broom. I don't sadly use that to clean my house. I do have a corn broom that has some magical stuff on it, and that I will, it has some crystals on it that I use to sweep out the negativity of my home. But again, I smudge every day, not every day, probably about, I try to do it in 7 days. I will probably do it at least 3 times. But yeah, I use my crystals every day. I use my herbs every day. I use things that make me feel good. And when I'm sitting in my witchy room, I feel such peace. And yes, my witchy room, as you have seen, is very bright. It is very colorful. It is very busy, and as my husband loves to say, it's cluttered. To him, it's cluttered. To me, it just brings me overwhelming joy. It really does. I feel such a sense of calm and peace when I am in this room. But that's just me. That's just kind of what I do. And you can see that when I take my notes because as I said, as you can tell, I love the rainbow, and that when I take my notes in my books, and when I take my notes in my notebook, they're rainbow. That was a trick that I learned very early on because I have a learning disability. So for me to learn and to memorize, my one teacher said, let's do everything in rainbow, because I can break it down and I can learn certain sections, so all of my books that are over here, I don't know if you can see them. All of my witchy books, there's all my plant-based medicines. I just moved my witchy books back here. But all of that stuff has rainbow notes in them. The little Bic pens that are colorful, these are like my best friend. I love those things. But that is what brings me joy, and that is what makes me feel magical. Color makes me feel magical. Using my herbs makes me feel connected. It makes me feel connected to nature. It makes me feel connected to God, because when I use the gifts that nature has given me, and I create with them, I'm giving back. I'm saying, thank you, Lord, for what you have given me. Thank you, Lord, for what you have blessed me, the abundance that you have blessed me with. And I will give back. That's my way of giving back. But please, leave me some wonderful comments. Let me know if there's anything specific that you want to know about me, about my practice, about, if there's any DIYs you want to see, because I do create some art. I will maybe eventually, once I get everything put into my Book of Shadows again, I will definitely do a Book of Wicked Rainbows look through. I will share that. But yes, let me know. Please leave me some wonderful comments and let me know what you want to see, what you want to hear. I'm kind of an open book. So, and I love the feedback. I love the feedback. But I hope that helped, and everybody have a wonderful day. This is Derry Sinowitch Carpenter signing off for the Christian Witches Cove. Bye, guys.